Hey up everybody, welcome back to the Audio Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the GP Industria. This is the next round of the Super Classico, and I thought I'd just do a quick video because I think there's some pretty obvious favourites for this race and making a team isn't too difficult, but I just thought I'd make a quick video just in case anybody was getting cold feet about decisions or wanted to just have a second opinion on riders. So the race is 196 k's long, 2,422 meters of climbing. It takes in the Fornello climb 2 times, which is 2.9 k's at 6.1%, but with the last 900 meters being 10%. And then we do 3 circuits of the Fornello climb with a little bit extra up to San Baronto, so that's 8.4 k's at 3.5%. So you get that steep bit, and then it kind of levels off and it descends to the finish. Last year we saw Hershey winning this ahead of Thomas Guillermo Silva and Ulissi. I think Velasco and Vincenzo Albanese were up there as well. So it's one for the climbers and punchers more than usually. Hershey is obviously the most expensive rider, 28 credits. I think Hershey's form has been a little bit patchy recently, a bit inconsistent, but this is Mark Hershey, and this is a .pro race in Italy. So therefore, he is going to turn into a absolute animal and probably win this. But I say it in jest, but Hershey is very good typically at these Italian one-day races later on in the season. He is very expensive, and I think it's very possible that the best team will not cost you 100 credits. Whether you want to pick Hershey or not, I think a lot of people will. I think he's the safe pick. But I think it's very possible that he's not in the best team. Based upon recent form, it's not an absolute guarantee, but he was very active in the ADAC Classic. He, wasn't really doing loads in the Britannia Classic, but that was more of a bunch sprint rather than an attacking sort of race. So maybe his efforts weren't accurately reflected in his result, but the Circuit Franco-Belge, he did come 4th place, so I think Hershey's a pretty decent shout. Then you come to Bettiol, who's one of the many Astana riders who you could pick. I think Bettiol is a decent pick. I do wonder about how he will cope on the steeper kilometre at 10%, but if it comes down to a sprint, Bettiol will be very good, and having good descending ability is going to be important, because obviously the last down to the finish line is all downhill, and last year we saw it being very wet, so being a good descender is very paramount. Turns, Confidence really needs some UCI points. Whether Turns is going to be the guy for them, I'm not too sure. I think it might be Monike. He's much cheaper. Ulissi was obviously 3rd in this race and last year, and obviously very similar to Hershey. He is very good at these sorts of one-day races. There's no real reason to not pick Ulissi. He was okay in Bologna. He's got better one-day race results though recently. The 16 credit riders, I think Carapaz, I think Kristen, Del Toro, I think all these are good picks. Carapaz is obviously warming up for the World Championships, so whether that means he's going to be in good form now, I'm not too sure. It might be a better idea to try and get somebody who is shown actual form recently rather than Carapaz, who we don't have much of a read on at the moment. Kristen and Del Toro, I think, are both good picks. The UAE are likely to light up this race with one of these two, and if one of them does well, at least you get the assist points from them. So I think Kristen and Del Toro, picking both of those is a very smart decision. Formula, I think, was in the top 10 last year, if I remember correctly, but he's, again, one who is quite good at this time of year when it comes to the Italian one-day races. Rota and Zimmerman, I haven't really seen enough of to be that confident in. The 14 credit riders, Albanese, Champassin, Velasco, all decent picks. Albanese was obviously in the top 10 last year, as was Velasco, but Velasco was riding for the Italian national team, not his trade team, Astana, so I don't know how the dynamic will change. Do Astana really need to keep stacking UCI points? I think they're kind of safe from relegation, but I'm not sure if that will stop them. I would say, based upon the descent at the end, Champassin isn't the greatest descender. Maybe Albanese and Velasco, who are better descending and faster finish, will be better than Champassin. But Champassin was, last we saw of him was, I remember him in Arctic Race of Norway, he was pretty good. Albanese, we saw him in EY Tour looking pretty nice, getting a couple of top 10s, I think. Velasco, haven't seen that much of him recently, actually, but with Astana riders, you just never really know. The 12s, Basato would be a bit of an interesting one. We haven't seen great form from him recently, but he's got that sort of puncher, good at climbing kind of archetype who could do well in this race. Fiorelli, very similarly. I think he could also be a decent pick. The 10s, Depreto, possibly. I think that Jayco don't have a big leader. They might go with Concha. Obviously, he's the Italian champ, recently signed. I think it'll be him or Depreto. I'd probably favour Depreto a little bit. Scaroni, good shout as well. I mean, this guy was incredible at the start of the year. And Scaroni was also good in the Arctic race of Norway. So I think that he's quite good at 10 credits, as is Stora. If they don't go with Hershey, I think it'll be Stora, but not traditionally much of a one-day racer. However, at this time of year, kind of the rule book can be torn up a little bit. I think Stora is a nice 10 credit rider and a little bit cheaper for the quality of rider that he is. The 8s, I think Deletla has been in good form in like the Tour of Limousin recently. I think he was second in a stage behind Monique, and that was quite an uphill test. You see, Odd Christian Eiking, Jaja usually do quite good at this time of year as well, as does Magli, Marcelluzzi. Both of those guys are good punchers. Paul Mikel going to Bahrain victorious next year. Will he survive? I think it's possible that he survives the climb. He's got a very fast finish, but he's going to need to make it over that climb first and foremost. I'm not too confident about that. I'd probably have more faith in probably like a Jaja, I would say. I think he's currently the best one of these. Pigonzoli. Prades was very good he was obviously second in Franco-Belge. So Prades could be a very interesting pick, maybe a bit underrated. Mateo Ramirez, he was just top 10 in the Total L'Avenir. Maybe he will just get assist points more than likely. The 6 credit riders, Barre, possibly Barre, maybe as well. I would say that I would actually say Monique is my favourite one, wherever he is. He must be a bit further down. Here's Monique. He's probably my favourite just based upon the GP Limousin and the fact that Cofidis need UCI points. That kind of gets him nicely in the middle of the Venn diagram for me of somebody who needs to perform well and is in decent form. Pavel Novak, an underrated youngster who was very good in the Tour of Hungary. He's a good, I think he's top 10 of the Baby Giro. And yeah, not many people know about him, but I think he could be an interesting one. Probably not for like a big result, but might launch a surprise. Tesfazion, Pablo Torres, Cherenko. He won a stage of the Tour of Slovenia, big uphill finish. So, maybe he could do something here as well. And then the 4s, honestly, I'll be honest, I haven't really looked at these. I don't think you really need a 4 credit rider, but Gualdi, I'd probably say. I like Gualdi. Great puncher for Intermarché. He's a part of their development squad at the moment, but I think he's going World Tour next year. He was 10th in the La Gueglia earlier this year, which was a pretty difficult race. So I think that he's, clearly pretty good. And other than that, you're really just looking at assist points. But anyway, this is my team at the moment. Hershey, Carapaz, Velasco, Jan Kristen, Del Toro, and Scaroni. It's a pretty basic team, to be honest. I did have Ulissi in here. And then instead of Scaroni, I had Monique. But I don't know. Velasco and Scaroni seems a little bit better, perhaps. Not sure how much faith I've got in Ulissi. It kind of depends. So I feel like this is just a very safe template team to be going with, and then you can fiddle around with it a little bit. But let me know what you're thinking in the comments of any riders who I've missed. I think it's probably quite likely in that 4 credit and 6 credit bracket. And who you're thinking of putting onto your teams. And yeah, all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut.